Welcome back to Yoshi Entertainment, everybody. So, I woke up to the internet in flames once again, and the reason this time is because Chloe Bailey decided to collaborate with Chris Brown on a new song, and a lot of people are upset. The same reason why they were upset when Normani collaborated on that song. I think it was called Warm Embrace. They were all saying, "Oh, Normani, how could you? How could you, Chloe Bailey, collaborate with that alleged woman beater?" And I understand. I understand where both sides are coming from. But I'm leaning a little bit towards more one side than the other one, and I'll explain what I mean by that. So, a lot of the people who aren't happy with her doing this collaboration are mostly women, mostly black women, I would say, is what I've seen for the most part. I could be wrong, but mostly women. And they're saying, I don't think that these women should be collaborating with the guy who, he has a record, let's just be honest, of, DV allegedly, I have to say allegedly because I'm going to cover my own behind, and being very disrespectful and rude towards black women. We've seen this everywhere in the media, in the songs, in the music videos. We've seen this allegedly. And so a lot of people think, well, then why are all these black women doing these collaborations with him when he has shown the world what he feels, how he feels about black women, about women in general, his track record, especially black women, like I said, doing the collaborations with him. And so a lot of women were saying, so they're not good enough for you to not talk about them and be colorist, but they're good enough for you to, do music with. And that's what rubs them the wrong way, which that's reasonable, that's reasonable to feel. Now, on the other hand, a lot of the fellas, mostly men, mostly black men, are saying, oh, y'all are just holding his past against him. The thing with Rihanna happened years ago. Why y'all can't just let it go and forgive him? She did, and it's not just the thing with Rihanna, okay? Because like I said, this young man has a history and a track record, okay? It's not just the thing with Rihanna. And it's funny that they always bring up that particular incident whenever they're defending him. I find that very interesting. And even he, said that because, he got on the internet, and we'll talk about it later, but he got on the internet and he didn't mention, oh, that was when I was like 17. And some people have debated, okay, well, I think that was actually when he was like 20 when that incident happened with Rihanna. But I'm not here for anybody using their excuse, of age, the age as an excuse to justify something that they did. If you did it, you made a mistake, or you chose to do it, because there's a difference between a mistake and something you chose to do. But anyways, he did what he did, and he has to suffer the consequences. And for some odd reason, people keep forgetting about, like I said, this thing called consequences. When you do certain things, you have to reap the consequences, whether you want to or not. Sometimes said consequences are heavy, and sometimes they're light. You beat up a woman, and yes, I am sympathetic to the fact that, as he said, allegedly, she started it first, that she hit him, and then what he did was in retaliation, but still, like I've said this before, we live in a generation where these men are hitting back. Like, you shouldn't be putting your hands on them anyways, because that's not right. But back in the day, men, the thing was, if a woman hits you, you walk it off. You don't hit them back. You don't, punch them out. You file a restraining order, because you're going to have to at that point, but you don't hit them back. But these days, they hitting back. And I don't support, like I've said before, multiple times on this channel, I don't support domestic violence when it comes to both men and women. I don't support men hitting women, and I don't support women hitting men, because they got some women out here, they will take advantage of the fact that they are a woman and then be putting hands and feet on these men, and then want to, have the surprise Pikachu face when they get laid out. I don't support that, because that's a double standard. But anyways, there's this thing called consequences. You beat her up, and she was a major star. A lot of people like Rihanna. She has a whole fan base. Why would you even say that's in the past? People are not going to let that go. Her fans are not going to let that go. That's just common sense. I'm not saying it's right, but there are consequences to our actions, and sometimes those consequences follow us for life. It's unfortunate. I'm not saying that it's right, again. Sometimes that's just how it goes. Like I said, I'm going to say this again. I'm going to keep saying it because I know somebody's going to get offended. I'm not saying that that's right, although, and I'm going to keep saying consequences as well. Sometimes they're light, sometimes they're heavy, depending on what we've done. And the reason why some people keep saying, let's just be honest, why y'all keep bringing up his past is because some people cannot handle the consequences of their own actions. Like they want to get out of them so badly that they just can't handle that this is what I have to deal with now because of what I did. This is, this is grown folks stuff. This is mature talking right here. Sometimes you just gotta suffer it to be so because of what you did. Sometimes that's just how it is in life. I hate to tell y'all that. But anyways, I got off on a whole tangent. That's why I can't understand these people who are saying, why y'all still bringing up the Rihanna thing. They're always going to bring it up, okay? So you're talking to water when you say that, because, you're going to get the same response, which is what you've been getting all this time. And again, it's not just about the Rihanna issue. It's about the stuff that he has done just over the years. Like, people tend to forget what happened with Karrueche. And I think I did mention this in a previous video somewhere, some time ago. What happened with Karrueche? And I'm going to add an alleged, even though, most of this stuff has been confirmed. Allegedly, she had to file a restraining order against him to get him away from her. I guess because he just wouldn't, get over the fact that they had broken up and she didn't want to be with him anymore. She had to get a restraining order placed against him. And also, allegedly, according to her, he kicked her in the stomach and pushed her down the stairs. And this stuff happened like within the last couple of years. This wasn't like when he was 17, he was a grown man adult doing this to a grown woman adult. So with all of that in mind, I kind of find it hard to understand why people keep saying, oh, you're holding his past against him. Because, like I said, it wasn't just this one isolated event, like where he just had this one slip up. No, it's the track record and the multiple things, as I've said, that he's done in the past, and from what I've seen personally, and people have said this before, it's not just Yoshi Entertainment, okay? Like, I'm not the only one who doesn't see, like, any kind of positive change that he's made, over the years. Yeah, he's made a lot of music that a lot of people like, he can dance well. We all know this, but as for him as a person, we haven't really seen, or at least I haven't, him display or do anything that would insinuate that he is not the same person that he has been over all these years. So a lot of people, it's not that they're holding his past against him. It's just that whenever, like I keep saying this, whenever people show you who they are, believe them. And people have seen him for who he showed everybody that he is. And they're just simply believing him. Like I said, he hasn't done anything to really fix, the stigma on him. Yeah, he's, I guess, kept his hands off women for the most part these last few years. But there's still a lot about his character that just doesn't sit right with people. And you can't blame people for simply noticing that, Like I said, when they saw him for who he was, they believed him the first time. And they're just still believing him. So it doesn't have a whole lot to do with, holding somebody's past against them. And like I said, I find it funny. It's mostly men who are, taking his defense and whatnot. Not even thinking about how the women might feel in this situation, especially women who have been through, DV situations that take this kind of stuff personally, But anyways, like I said, I'm leaning more towards the side with people saying we don't agree with this because of his track record. Although people got to understand, this is all business at the end of the day. It's not something worth being bent out of shape over. Like, I don't understand why the internet is in flames about this. Like, if you want to be upset because she's working with him, because of what he's done, it doesn't sit right with you, that's fine. But to be bent out of shape about it, I don't understand because, like I said, at the end of the day, this is all business. This is all just business and, collaborations, money. That's all this is at the end of the day. People have pointed out that, I'm going to say allegedly, Chloe's team, that's supposed to be marketing her, they're fumbling the job. Okay. They are messing up the job on how they're supposed to be branding her and who they're supposed to market her to. And let's not even get started on, them not putting her songs out there. And I'm going to add an allegedly on that, like I said, to cover my own behind. But this is something we've seen with artists before. So let's not act like this is not something that's happening. Sometimes these labels, they don't promote certain artists. They don't put their music out there. So, you can be upset if you want to, but her doing this collaboration with him is helping her in her career. And before any Chloe fans or anybody in general who thinks that she doesn't need him to help her career asks why would she need to do a collaboration with him and that she don't need him. If that was the case, why is she doing a collaboration with him? But anyways, I had to get all that out of the way first before I got down to the real meat and potatoes of what was going on. So allegedly, Kiely Williams, which, that was a name that I hadn't heard in rotation in a hot minute, came out of I don't know what woodwork, what framework, and decided to have something to say about Chloe doing this collaboration with Chris Brown, which is funny to me, and I'll explain why that's funny. And he thought it was funny too, apparently. Well, he didn't think it was funny, but she had something to say about this collaboration, basically saying, basically like everything everybody else was saying, that, how she gonna get up there and collaborate with, him, knowing XYZ, calling him out for what he's done in the past. And he went off. I think he went off on Instagram, if I'm not mistaken. He drug her. I haven't seen a dragation like that in quite some time. He was saying all kind of stuff. He was bringing her lisp into it, okay? He was bringing her lack of a career into it, allegedly. He also brought up, or somebody brought up, her getting on an interview with, I don't know who it was, admitting that she had B2K run a whole train on her, allegedly, back in the day, saying, sis, you might not want to, be throwing those stones after you just, admitted that you had a train ran on you back in the day. But somebody brought that up too. Somebody also brought up the incident, all that time ago between her and Naturi Washington that happened when they were in 3LW, and I was like, man, they didn't brought that up again too. And it's funny because whenever that situation is talked about, I feel like there are people to this day that still don't believe Naturi, which is crazy to me, because whenever she first said it, I did believe everything she said. I believed every single word because it just sounds so much like people. Let me just be honest. It sounds so much like people, like black people, like the industry. Because if you remember, she did do a whole sit down, and talked about that. And like I said, this happened like years ago, decades ago, okay? She did sit down and talk about that, talk about how, she was the only dark-skinned member of the group. And they were doing good with the way that they were going, with how they were branded, the three of them. They were doing good. And that first album did very, very well. And then after that, I think it was like the mother of one of the women. I can't remember who it was. I want to say it was either the mother or the aunt. I want to say it was Kiely. And they wanted to change the direction of how the group was going. They wanted to change how it was branded. They wanted to give her not so much, they didn't want her to be in the middle, and they didn't want her to be so much in a spotlight. Like I said, we're going to be honest, okay? We're not going to sugarcoat or shy away from the truth because she was the dark-skinned member in the group. But she was the one, if you ask me, who had the voice, who was the most on brand out of the three of them. But they didn't want her in the forefront because she was a dark-skinned member of the group, and they did her pretty dirty. And to this day, Kiely denies, allegedly, throwing that plate of food in her face. Like I said, I believe her, and I have believed her since she first came out and said it. And on top of all of that, Adrienne Bailon even apologized whenever she had went, I think she was on the Wendy Williams show, I think, if I'm not mistaken. When Naturi Washington was on that show, and they had did like, I think, a call in or something like that, and it was Adrienne Bailon, and they were talking about, your former group mate from 3LW, like from back in the day. And she even apologized publicly to Naturi Washington. So that, lets me know for sure that something had happened back in the day. Okay, so that just, like I said, I feel like people doubled down on believing it if they hadn't already. But anyways, Chris Brown, after dragging her, also pointed out that Kiely was a hypocrite because she was on the internet not too long ago bragging about how she wanted to see Blueface and Christian Rock fight each other just for the clout of it all. That is very hypocritical. And like I said, Kiely has always been a very shady figure, so I don't know what anybody expected out of her. And speaking of Krishan and Blueface, he brought up them too. Like I said, he got mad and he started dragging everybody. He started with Kiely first, and after he drug her up and down all of the Instagram streets, he then proceeded to move to all of the Caucasian people, if you will, who also have all kinds of domestic violence charges, allegedly, that nobody knows about. I didn't know, like, the people that he posted, I had no idea that these people had done stuff like this, which is how well they don't drag people of a certain hue, if you will, for what they do versus what black people do. And he was pointing out, he was saying, like, all these white people up here that did this man almost choked his wife out, allegedly. And y'all ain't say nothing about that. Y'all ain't bring it up when he do XYZ. And I get what he was saying, but at the same time, it was giving, because I'm in the hot plate, I'm on the hot plate, I'm gonna put somebody else on the hot plate too. Like, I'm not here for, and I don't agree with you dragging somebody else, whenever you're being dragged. Like, you're telling people not to, throw your past in your face, but you're literally digging up somebody else's past just to say, hey, you're not giving them any trouble, any grief for what they did. You know what I'm saying? But I understand what he was saying, but at the same time, again, we're going to go back to what I was talking about in the Idris Elba video. What did you expect? You're black. Of course, they're going to always throw your past in your face. All the more reason and motivation to not do something crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just get up and be like, I beat somebody up, but he beat somebody up too. Why y'all ain't dragging him? Y'all ain't dragging him because he white. Like I said, of course, this is the industry that you chose to go into. Of course, that's how it is. We all know this. So why are you upset about it now? You calling it out, I guess that's great, but that's not going to do nothing about it. And I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying let's use common sense. And like I said, use that as motivation to still be on our best behavior. But like I said, him calling that out, that was nothing new. Like, we all know this. It's not okay, but what do you expect, like I said? Oh, yeah, also, like I was saying, he brought up, Christian Rock and Blueface beating each other up. And he was saying, oh, well, Blueface didn't beat Christian. He didn't beat her up so many times and she beat him up. Y'all ain't saying nothing to them. Y'all ain't saying nothing to him. And then Blueface got on. And this video, y'all, that he made, when I tell y'all, it was like a big joke. I'm going to be honest. Like, it's not funny. It's not a joke. But at the same time, it's laughable because of how pathetic the whole situation was. Like I said, he was in the hot seat and then he drug all these other people into it. Like I said, I don't agree with that. But Blueface got on, and I would say I appreciate him not, reacting emotionally. But at the same time, what he said, like I said, it was really a ridiculous response. But anyways, basically he said, look, brother, I understand what you're saying. You talking about me and what I did, but sometimes, like what I said, the consequences of what you do might be worse than the consequences of somebody else do, even though it's the same thing. You just got to deal with it, man. I beat somebody up, you beat somebody up, but unlike you, I didn't beat up somebody famous. You beat up Ponde Replay under my umbrella. Work, 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 work. Okay, you beat up Rihanna, Riri, captain of the Rihanna Navy. I just beat up Krishan Rock. As if it's okay to brag about beating up your girlfriend at all. And in the background, Krishan Rock is over there laughing like any of this is funny, and it's not. And like I said, that's what I meant by it was a ridiculous response. And it's just all really pathetic to the point of just it being ludicrous. Ridiculous. Like I said, he had a point when he was saying, sometimes the consequences, like I've been saying all this video, it's a little bit heavier for some than it is for others. But at the same time, he could have left that part about, oh, you beat up the wrong person, basically. He could have left that part out because that was just ridiculous. And low-key kind of validated what he did. Like I said, this entire situation was just like a cesspool of hypocritical people dragging other people into stuff that didn't even involve them and using them as an excuse to justify what they did. It was ridiculous, y'all. This entire situation, like I said, when y'all really think about it, is crazy. Like, whenever I first was seeing all of, like I said, them going back and forward, I was like, what is this? The Young and the Restless? It may as well be, because y'all are providing all the drama. But anyways, y'all let me know what y'all think and how y'all feel down in the comments below. Respectfully, don't forget to like and subscribe, and y'all be blessed.